girl that had the most accurate arm. She dunked it. Your own flight had a pretty accurate.
Yeah, he did. There was a girl that threw like 10 balls and she hit me like 9 out of the 10.
Good evening and welcome to the Chaska City Council meeting for Monday, July 15th, 2024. Call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lisa, we call roll, please.
Happy here. Here. Councilmember Wong, Councilmember McGraw.
Here.
Mayor Winchell.
Here. Councilmember Wong is out tonight, will not be joining us. I believe he's out of town, so. All right, next we'll move to adopting the agenda. Are there corrections or additions to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard.
Second.
Second by Councilmember McGraw, adopting the agenda. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries. All right, moves us to a proclamation. Tonight we have a proclamation for the Chaska Lions Club monument that they have. I have a proclamation here and we have Lion member Brian Dalkey here to join us. So we'll meet at the podium here. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Thanks for taking the time.
All right, so this is a proclamation in recognition of refurbishing and relocation of Chaska Lions Monument. Whereas the Chaska Lions Monument was originally created in 1962 for the City Square Park. And whereas the monument provided information about the 3 burial mounds located there regarding the earliest known inhabitants of our community. And whereas about 30 years ago, the monument was removed from City Square Park and stored at the Chaska Municipal Building. And whereas last year, the Lions Club decided to repair, refurbish, and relocate the original monument to the current Lions Park and honor the earliest Chaska Lions who had the monument created. And whereas the Lions Club is grateful for the help from Chaska Director of Public Works, Brian Chung, Chaska Parks Foreman, Selmer Olson, who aided in getting the monument refurbished. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mark Winchell, as the mayor of the city of Chaska, on behalf of the Chaska City Council, do proclaim our recognition in refurbishing and replacement of the Chaska Lions Monument to the Lions Park. In witness whereof, I have set my hand in the seal of the city of Chaska in the 15th day of July in the year of our Lord 2024. Well, there you are, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. There's. Thank you.
Like watching.
Thanks, Brian.
Then I'll talk to you about River City Days and
Yeah, but why don't you just talk a little bit, give a little history of what happened, how it was generated.
I think this room is tired of hearing me talk after all these
Oh,
years. Yeah, when we found out where the monument was, Selmer found it for us and like I said, him and Brian helped, and Teresa Winslow did, she facilitated all the work. And the monument that's there now, you can read, the 62 lines are on the back and what the monument was created for is on the front. We're going to be adding a plaque to it as soon as the plaque arrives because it doesn't make a lot of sense right now where the monument is located down at Lions Park compared to when it was at City Square Park. So this will show why we moved it. And the Historical Society, Lisa, that was just here, said, she pointed out some inaccuracies on the monument, but we're not gonna change the monument, so we're gonna add a plaque saying, based on the information that the 62 Lions had, this is what they thought was accurate at the time, so.
I was curious. I mean, I remember that monument there, kind of forgot about it. I had no idea it got saved. I mean, that's part of the thing we were just talking about, going through all the history about things that, you know, just at the time it goes, oh yeah, let's get rid of it or get it off the Indian mounds or the burial mounds because we
Right.
need to. And, but I was, when you start talking about this, I went, they found that? So that's pretty amazing that.
The way
Yeah.
things go around town, somewhere along the line, Jay Malnow heard that it might still be around. And then I called Brian and said, if it is, let's find it. And then they found it and then we went from there. We put about $15,000 into it. So between the plaque and the monument, but it looks good. It's down at Lions Park next to the flagpole. And, we appreciate you coming down first day of River City Days and dedicating it when they start River City
Want to do the
Days.
same proclamation then?
Yeah, I guess that'd be perfect, yeah. Now, will you have a copy or should I bring this?
I can find one, but don't be afraid to bring it. In case I forget.
Yeah.
Been known
Never do
to,
that.
been known to do that.
So I appreciate the council's time and, I'll let you guys get on to the fun work of the evening, so.
All right, thanks, Brian.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the work getting it done. All right. Anybody else would need to say anything to Brian before he runs away? Sorry. Guess not. Brian's leaving. All right, next on the agenda is, under visitor presentation tonight, I have, Southwest Transit presentation by Chief Executive Officer Erik Hansen. Come on up, Erik.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here. And tonight I was here about a year ago, right after I was named the CEO. And I want to be able to give kind of an annual report, I guess you could say. This should be really quick about what we're doing for this community and in general. And this is what we have today. And so if we could back it up to the first slide. Or do I only have this slide?
No,
there's one
I see
before it.
your other slides, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Krista? She running it?
She's probably working. on it.
Well, I can tell you what's on the first slide.
That it?
Yes, that is the first slide. That's exactly right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, basically, I wanted to give kind of a little bit of primer. A lot of you already know, obviously, some of you are on my commission as it is anyway. But the folks out there, you know, listening and watching may not necessarily know exactly who Southwest Transit is. So we are your local transit provider. We serve the Southwest metro area under an agreement between Eden Prairie, Chanhassen, and Chaska. And there are people on my commission that are my bosses that represent this community. In fact, there are 3 people from Chaska out of the 7 that are on my current commission. We provide express bus service out of stations, including East Creek Station in Chaska at Highway 41 and 212, on-demand service, which is our Southwest Prime, as well as special events bus services like the Chaska River City Days, for example, or the State Fair and things like that. In 2023, we had 446,399 riders. We did a survey also in 2023. We asked people in our entire community how they felt about us. Our positives outweighed our negatives by 2.5 to 1, which is a pretty good ratio overall. Generally, people like Southwest Transit and what we provide. This year, ridership is up 26% in 2024 over 2023. And you can kind of see what the numbers look like there versus 2022. And so ridership has continued to trend up. It is not where it was pre-COVID. My guess is that it probably won't get back to exactly that until we start to kind of change the way we do business, which is why I'm going to talk a little bit about what the future of Southwest Transit is. And the main reason for that, honestly, is just that people are not working from an office as much as they used to. Both our survey data as well as census data shows that. And I suspect that's probably not going to change in mass numbers in the next period of time, if ever. So let's go to the next one. I looked a little bit about Prime. So Prime is our Southwest Prime, which is the on-demand service. You can either call in or use an app for that. I asked the question, people are always interested, okay, well, where do people go with this? In Chaska specifically. So the number one place where people get picked up is at the Target. This should not be surprising. And the number one place where they get dropped off is Targets. So it is kind of interesting to see where they go. I'm not sure where I should have looked this up. I'm not sure where Yellow Brick Circle is. That must be probably
Like by Cooper's.
yeah, it's like by Cooper's. So it's like, people in that area and Cub Foods, more apartments. I mean, you can kind of see what's happening is that people are going from where they live, to places that they need to go to shop and things like that in Chaska. So that's kind of interesting. So about 40% of the rides total last year either started or ended their trips in Chaska. And so there's quite a lot of 57,000 people trips, I guess you could say, within the city of Chaska in 2023.
If I can comment.
Yeah.
I see on here unique drop-offs.
Yep.
Michael's Food, 1,000. I mean, that means workers are using that. Cooper's, that means a lot of probably people were shopping.
Yep.
Integris is another work. So that kind of amazes me how many people are using it for getting to work. So that's pretty
that's
cool.
why it's interesting to see this, right? So we actually did a survey of Prime users and what they use it for. Our express bus service downtown is more than 80% are saying they go to work. It's not quite as much on Prime, but it's still almost half. And so it's a service where people are kind of going locally. And I can tell you anecdotally, as an example, I don't know, this happened to me a few months ago. I was actually at lunch eating at Tono's, which is up on Highway 5, by the Starbucks there in Chanhassen. And I had my Southwest Transit badge on, and they said, "Oh, he's the guy taking my order said, oh, you work for Southwest Transit?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I take Prime to work every day from Chaska." So, and then this is a common kind of thing that you see. And in many cases, this is a needed service. And it's people going to work, people going to shop, maybe people going to the doctor. Those are the top three things that people use this service for. And in many cases, it's a service that they wouldn't be able to get where they need to go without it. We specifically asked that question, and a large plurality, not quite half, but a large plurality of people who use this service wouldn't have had another option any other way other than Uber or Lyft. And this is a $5 trip as opposed to a $25 trip or $30 trip. Any other questions about that or comments about that? Okay, the next one. So the next one is that, your board members, as well as everybody else, Councilmember Wong and Councilmember Hatfield, we've kind of worked together, and actually we'll fully adopt, hopefully you guys fully adopt anyway, our strategic plan when we have a meeting next week. But has already looked at kind of what the vision for the organization is and created some strategic priorities, and we'll be fleshing that out with a larger plan next week. Southwest Transit is the leading provider of innovative transit solutions that improve livability and enhance economic opportunity in the communities we serve. That's our vision. And we provide a premium experience for the Southwest Twin Cities through safe, reliable, and cost-effective transit that builds community and connects our customers from where they are and where they want to go. We really move people around the community, and that's kind of an important distinction. We're a people company. We're in the service business in reality. That's what we want to be. Strategic priorities is financial sustainability, a premium customer experience. We want to grow and be innovative, and we are focused on serving our community and the people in it. And that's the direction where Southwest Transit is going. Next one. So what does that mean ultimately? I mean, those are some nice, words on a page. But we do have some very specific things that we're already working on that'll be part of our strategic plan. One is that we're going to be creating a fixed route service with regular stops, kind of like our express bus service along the 494 corridor from Southwest Station to the airport. And so you could get on at East Creek Station here in Chaska, take one of our buses there to East Creek, and then transfer and go all the way to the Mall of America or the airport, as well as the employment sector along the 494 corridor. The interesting thing about that is that there are actually more jobs in the 494 corridor in Bloomington than there are in downtown Minneapolis. Some of that is because some of those jobs have been sucked out of downtown Minneapolis, but ultimately we think that's an important employment corridor that we're not serving. We plan on expanding Prime. We've talked to the Carver commissioners about expanding into Waconia, and they've kind of given a tentative green light, depending on what the plan is ultimately. And looking to expand a little bit further north, we have a grant to do that too. We're also, I didn't put it on the slide, but actually I think this is an important point. This is going to be depending on, what the 2025 budget looks like, but, we don't run Prime on Sundays. I think if we can afford it, we should, to be honest with you, because it's a service that people need on Sundays as much as they need the rest of the time. We're going to continue to do more and more special events. We're going to every single Twins home game this year. And at least from now on, I should say, we did not go on the 4th of July, but generally speaking, every home game moving forward. The Renaissance Festival is a new one that we're adding in 2024 this year. And in the past, the last few years, we've had a few days during the week of the State Fair we didn't go. We're going to be going every day of the State Fair this year, except for Labor Day. This is something when we ask people in the community survey, what is the one service that you really would use more of? And 39%, the biggest number, was these kinds of special events. And so we're working to kind of expand that and meet the customer's needs.
So you would pick up just at Southwest Station and go to Renfest then?
Yeah, we're going to be picking it up at all of our stations to go to Renfest actually currently. And so it'll be interesting because we're going to be running State Fair service on some of the first couple weekends at the same time as Renfest. And so that's not something we've ever done before. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works, but we're going to go from every station as well as Carver. And that actually, for folks, it's not in Chaska, but I think it is important to mention, we have never run State Fair service out of Carver before because we have a station there. We are going to be doing that this year. And I know there's people further to the west that the station in Carver might actually even, the east might even be a little closer for them to get to. And so that's a little bit different this year as well. So the last thing that I kind of want to talk about, other than we do have some electric vehicles that are coming a little bit later this year, is something that's been in the news a little bit lately. We signed an agreement with a company called Minn Mobility to provide services as part of our Southwest Prime fleet for autonomous vehicles in the Eden Prairie area. So people have asked me several different questions along the way, after I was like, are there really, is somebody really not driving the car? And the answer is yes. There will be, at least initially, an operator in the car, but I've ridden in these vehicles in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and they're Toyota Sienna minivans, and they really don't have their hands on the wheel. And why is this interesting and important? Well, I would say, first of all, it kind of meets our mission of looking for innovative ways to deliver transit. There has been, and there still continues to be, and there will probably be for some period of time, a shortage of drivers in the industry. More than half of the drivers who drive for transit are over the age of 55. If they're not already retired, they're going to be retiring. And at the end of the day, this is an ability for us to create a good level of service. And this is probably one of the things that's the future of transit. And we want to be on the cutting edge of that. We've been able to get some good press, I think, for Southwest Transit at the same time. The other thing that Councilmember Wong asked me to ask is, what about those drivers, and is it going to be displacing anybody's jobs? And the answer is no. In fact, it will result in more jobs because Minn Mobility will come in and hire people to help stand up that service at the same time. So that part I think is pretty cool. People also ask me, geez, is that going to be safe? And I'm not May Mobility, but what I can tell you is that I've ridden in it personally, and it certainly feels safe to me. But the other thing I would say is that, this is a really interesting kind of artificial intelligence technology. And so think of it like this. I don't have eyes in the back of my head, but the vehicle does. And literally, they map out all the locations and where it's going to go and where it might stop. And it has cameras, 360 degrees, around the entire vehicle, as well as radar and LiDAR and everything else, not radar, LiDAR and everything else, that allows it to see things that when we're driving, we can't see. And so I'm certainly convinced that it's safe. And it'll be interesting just to ride it, just almost in some ways, for some people, maybe as a curiosity. And is it ever going to come to Chaska? That's what we're going to find out in a couple of years. It might. We have a grant for first and last mile service around Southwest Station, which is the main reason why it's at this particular location, because that grant has to be spent in that area. But, if it's successful, if people like it, if it's cost effective, all of those things, we'll look at deploying it in some other places, perhaps in this community as well within the next few years. So the last slide is just a quick plug. And that is that we are working to try to get some of the money, more of the money, I should say, from the sales tax that was passed by the state legislature about a year ago. This is actually really important because right now there isn't any specific, that sales tax that was passed, which is 3/4 cent. Only a very small portion of that has gone to Southwest Transit. We believe that as an agency that we should get a continuing revenue stream for that because it is dedicated for transit specifically. And in order to do a lot of these things and provide a level of service that we want for the community, we want to be able to have a piece of that. So we're working with the Met Council right now to figure out what that looks like. So that's kind of the end of my call to action. Any other questions?
Questions for Erik?
Or comments?
He kind of laid it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
Very well.
to just add to a couple things, so the partnership with May Mobility with the autonomous vehicles. I think something that really stood out to me is they're successfully doing that in other areas of the country already. And I think they're fully autonomous where Phoenix
In Arizona, yeah.
area, they're fully autonomous, but they're in Grand Rapids here.
They're in Grand Rapids.
I keep getting Michigan and us mixed up.
They're in both, actually. That's what's
Yes,
confusing.
they're in Michigan, they're all over. So I think that's very exciting. So it's being done other places. But certainly the first in the metro here to be doing it. So that's very exciting. But I also think great things happening. So Erik mentioned meeting with the Carver County Commissioners and expanding that service to Waconia. And we've continued to partner with Carver. We still have Erik Pershman, Councilmember Pershman, on the commission as a non-voting member. So continue to be in the community that way, which is all very exciting. So, and then also to add, Erik didn't say this in his presentation, but Erik is celebrating a year at Southwest Transit as CEO. So it's very exciting. This is quite a long journey to get to you being here. So that's very exciting. And he's done a lot to hire some really remarkable people onto the team, specifically in marketing and operations that are doing a lot to drive the organization forward, transit planners. So there's a lot of exciting things. I'm sure we're both missing things, but a lot of exciting things happening at Southwest Transit that's going to really keep us on the cutting edge and is very exciting for our three communities to get to kind of pave the way for transit in the metro. So
I really appreciate you saying those things. We want to, it ultimately it's your, it's the commission's, mission, but, innovation is so important because we've been a leader in so many things, like on-demand microtransit, that I don't see any reason why we couldn't be, leaders, let alone the state of Minnesota, nationally on some of these, technology things as well. Why not? And when Southwest Transit is in the news, that means Chaska is in the news, and that's cool stuff. something the community can kind of be proud of. And so that's what we want. Ultimately, that's what the commission wants. And, they've been pretty focused on, how do we move forward, after the pandemic. And, I'm really grateful that, of that leadership.
I think one opportunity I think is out there too, that I'll speak from my day job. More and more companies are trying to find ways to meet sustainability goals.
Yep.
Prime doesn't necessarily plan to do that because it's still a single rider car versus a mass transit opportunity. So any ways to continue to help businesses, because it gets very complicated trying to figure out where all your employees are coming from and how to get them
Yeah.
too quickly. And I know, and then particular in the Southwest area, because you got MVVTA, Southwest, everything like that. So I think that's a huge opportunity too in the future. Continue to be a partner with large organizations trying to, in a labor shortage, find employees to get them to work in a sustainable manner on the mass transit piece, because where we've done it, we've tried a few times and then you quickly get bogged down and it's difficult and hard to figure out. And that's because people typically doing aren't the experts of transit. We're the expert in what we're doing as an organization. So I think that's, finding those partnerships with companies and is a key too, because more and more companies continue to look for, ways to speak to sustainability and green initiatives. And people, and truthfully, people we hire asking for that and how we could support that.
I really appreciate that, council member. I think you're right. And I didn't talk about it a lot. I just kind of mentioned it real briefly, but we do have a sustainability plan, and part of what that includes is, electric vehicles. So we'll have some electric coaches. They were supposed to be here already, but every time I turn around, they push them out another couple of months because of some supply chain issues. So I just heard this last week. It looks like maybe first quarter 2025, and they were supposed to be here first quarter 2024. So, but we do have those coming, and we have currently 3 electric vehicles in the fleet, and then we'll have after the 4 buses that are coming, another 6 after that. So we'll have quite a few kind of electric vehicles to kind of see how that technology works. I mean, I think it's like a lot of new technologies. We're not really sure, particularly how the batteries are going to last in kind of a colder climate, because they work a lot better in the summer than they do in the winter. But I think that's great. The other thing I did want to point out, though, is that most of our rides in Prime are actually a shared ride. And so, yes, you do get those individual rides. But in most cases, and personally, every time I've taken it, it's been a shared ride. But you do get solo rides out of the deal too. So yeah, it's not quite as sustainable, I guess you could say, if it's 50 people on a bus. But probably a little better than a solo car, I guess you could say. So, but I do appreciate your comment on that. Yeah.
So the autonomous vehicles, is that a Southwest Transit or is that Southwest?
It's right now, it's just us. What I heard from the CEO at our Suburban Transit Association meeting is that they're looking at pursuing a grant so they can do a similar kind of thing. But at this point, I'm not aware of any specific deployments yet in the Twin Cities, but I'm sure that May Mobility is trying to get those. May Mobility is a little different than some of these other ones, like Waymo and what was the other one again? Its name I'm slipping my mind, but May Mobility is kind of the third entry into the market. Their kind of model is to work with transit agencies on deployment, as opposed to kind of a robo taxi, Uber kind of model. So it's a little bit different. So that's another reason why it fits with us a little bit better, is because they're specifically working with cities and transit agencies and state agencies around the country. And so, it'll be interesting to see how it works. But yeah, that's a little bit more background on that.
Yes, they're going to be fully branded with Southwest Transit.
It will,
And
yep.
all 6 will be handicap accessible.
That's a good point too. I didn't mention that. All the vehicles will be handicap accessible. They're actually rear loaded. And so there's a kind of a ramp that comes down and you can put a wheelchair in the back. And that's important because I think
So apparently the operator of the wheelchair can do all that themselves. Do it.
this is the challenge, right? Because initially there'll be operators in the vehicles. And so that operator will have to provide some assistance in that context. I don't think Maine Mobility has yet figured out how that person would do that in a solo kind of way. That's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, before we go fully autonomous without an operator in the vehicle. Yeah.
So wouldn't the Met Council look at you being innovative enough to get autonomous vehicles, that would help you get some extra funding?
Yeah, and we did. And this is ultimately 80% grant funded through a grant from Met Council through a regional solicitation. So absolutely, they're a big partner in this as well. So sometimes we like to complain about how we didn't have a revenue, but in this particular case, they're a really good partner. I do think that what's cool about this is that people will be looking at it, right? And so it's nice to be kind of a leader in that. And I'm sure Met Council, Metro Transit, and MVTA, they're going to be wondering, okay, is this going to work? And how is this going to work? And do we want to do it?
Start following your prime setup.
Yeah, right. I mean, we like to be out front and be leaders, right? We want to be known for stuff. That's good for us. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So, anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mayor and
you.
Council. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thanks for
You betcha. I guess you can't shut that off.
It's magic. It's done somewhere else. All right, is there anyone else under visitor presentation not on an agenda item? Okay, all right, with that, we are gonna go into a closed session. I have something to read here. Pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D-05 subdivision 3B, the meeting will move into a closed session for the city council to receive advice from the city attorney Jason K. I'll just won't butcher it. Kubicek, okay, regarding pending litigation. The substance of the matter to be discussed in the closed session is a lawsuit involving the city and property owners, including William Schalow, in the case number 10-CV-20-276. A description of the general nature of the matter and the proceedings are publicly available on Minnesota Court Systems website, which means the public's right to be informed of government affairs affecting the city. The attorney's advice tonight will address the city's litigation position and strategy in the matter, and the city position and the attorney-client privilege may be determinately impacted if the advice were given in a public meeting. The balance therefore weighs in favor of holding this portion of the meeting in private. All right, so at this point, then I would need a motion to go into a closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
Am I doing that right?
Yep.
Okay. So I have a motion by Councilmember Hatfield,
Second.
second by Councilmember Hubbard to go into a closed session. Do we have any discussion further? And again, only things that will be talked about in there is this pending lawsuit. So, all right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. All right, we'll go into a closed session at 7. All right, we are back from our closed session. We will move on to the next item, which is number 9, approving previous meeting minutes, and that's from 7/1 of 2024. If there are no corrections or additions, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard,
Second.
second by Councilmember McGraw. Again, this is approving previous meeting minutes from 7/1/24. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. All right, moves us to item 10. This is consent. These are all items that need our approval. not necessarily a conversation, but any and all are open for conversation. If anyone has a question.
I just had a comment. I was excited to see the ice arena piece of that. I know we've had different conversations with revenue options, and I think that's a good option, a very common option to have advertising on the breaker boards. That was the terminology left me as I started to say it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dasher, thank you. Thank you. You can tell I was not a hockey person. Dashboard. So that was good to see. I read through that. It was kind of interesting to see how that plays out, but I know we've had conversations
I
for a
agree.
while.
That's another one we've been talking about for a long time, so.
Yep. Out of curiosity, would that ever lead to, I know obviously that maybe a little bit based on the name of the company, Rinkside, is dasher boards, but also you think about like baseball field fences in the outfield.
It could.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, all those things gotta be tactfully done,
Mhm.
otherwise it can not look great. But okay, I was just curious, cause you see those similarly in hockey arenas, you see in baseball, softball fields. So,
Yeah, I had emailed Marshall and Matt with just a few questions, and Marshall had responded back to me that the prices that are listed were for the dasher boards. They were outside of the printing of it, but the 70% of the net cost was language pertaining to other advertising opportunities within, such as scoreboard, in ice logos and Boney wrap, etc. They're not pursuing them at that point, but there are additional opportunities as far as that goes. So that's just a nice point of clarification. I think that was good to pass along. So.
yeah, that's
Right.
good.
Okay. Anyone else got anything else? Entertain a motion to approve consent.
Motion to approve consent.
Motion by Councilmember McGraw. Second by Winchell. Discussion on consent.
I just had one discussion. I'm sorry.
That's right.
That this was also on consent. It's the final for the Hazeltine villas. And one of the questions I had asked was, 11 PM for the lights to turn off. I was wondering, why it wasn't more in line with our park time being 10 PM.
I think one of the things looking at this is looking at more like a commercial property that we have lights on in the properties that are surrounding there. Our requirements in the city ordinances make sure that the light foot candles, is that the right word? Don't actually go out into surrounding properties. But if you think about like the apartments that are going in, they have the very same street lights that are on the other side of their apartment as well. And we have the same requirements there where they can be on, but they have to show down so they can't show up.
All right.
Good question.
All right, anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve consent. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries. We'll move down to action items 11A, adopt resolution 2024-62, approving preliminary site and building plan for the performance center at Hazeltine National Golf Course.
Mayor and council, this is one that you have seen previously in relation to the area that's around the villas that we had just spoke about. It's going a little bit different pace, but similar, where Hazeltine is looking at putting in basically a training center for people at the club and people staying in the villas there. So I'll turn it over to Liz, who's going to present this. This was recommended from the Planning Commission for approval of the preliminary site and building plans.
Thank you, council members and mayor. We have a preliminary site and building plan in front of us this evening for the Hazeltine National Golf Course, specifically for the Performance Center project. The site is highlighted in orange or outlined in orange on the slide shown on your screen. The performance center is really directly west of the driving range, so just general cursor. So we're at the second step of the process here. There's a third and final step they have to go through just for the performance center itself. So it will be coming back in front of you at a later time. Previous approvals, it was back in March of this year when you saw the first concept plan come through for the villas, the short course, the putting course, and the parking lot improvements. And the preliminary approval on that project was approved in May of this year, and then it was June when you saw the concept plan come through for the performance center that's being looked at this evening. The concept plan in June is shown on the exhibit here on this slide. The existing conditions of this site, it's over 300 acres total in size. However, the area in question with kind of where all the improvements are happening are really on the northwest side of the site and take up approximately 13 acres. There is access currently on Hazeltine Boulevard. The final that you just approved, there will be a modification of their main entrance for the vehicles to be oriented to the east side of Hazeltine Boulevard to provide smoother movement into and out of the site onto Hazeltine Boulevard. The access for the service entries that are formed on the east and west sides of the main entrance road will remain in place and operate the same way they do today. And there's a clubhouse currently on site, roughly 50,000 square feet in size, and that will remain as well. Just a couple images of the site if we need to refer back, but getting into what we're looking at this evening is the preliminary site and building plan for the performance center building, which is approximately almost 1,000 square feet in size. Its fullest point in height is 33 feet tall. The plan with the performance center highlighted in orange is shown on this screen. So again, the building itself is kind of sandwiched between the driving range that I'm circling with my cursor and then the proposed villas and short course on the west side of the performance center. And will be oriented directly south of the new parking lot site plan. So this building will be for members only of the golf club. It will include 7 indoor and outdoor hitting simulators that will be oriented towards the driving range on site. They will also have indoor putting and chipping areas within the building, and then a small dining and lounge area with a patio.
So Liz, did you say that they'll hit from inside to the outside?
Yes. So it will have the indoor function where it will have the digital simulation, but then also have garage door bays that are oriented towards the driving range. So they will have capability to hit out into the driving range.
Well, are they gonna net anything? Cause those villas are right there.
Yeah, and that would be a good question for Hazeltine on kind of those added pieces for security. Sure they've thought about that closely in terms of how.
I mean, where's the parking lot sitting there now? Is that where it's superimposed there on the top?
Yep, on the north side.
And then what is that? Isn't that that's the actual driving range pads there, right?
Yep.
Next to it then?
What was the question?
How's that gonna work?
In terms of what?
Well, if there's people on the driving range, you're almost. Somebody hits a bad ball, you'll hit them right in the driving range.
I think, maybe Hazeltine can probably offer
Okay.
more clarity on.
Well, you get through your presentation, we can look at that later.
Parking wise, they are meeting, parking requirements on site. In fact, they're quite over the parking requirement for the operations on site, but that will help, supplement some of the larger events that they can hold on site, when those happen. These images show, the exterior materials that they plan to use on the performance center, which will be cohesive with the clubhouse and then the proposed villas, on site. So there will be cohesion between all of the buildings. The lower images show kind of inspirational, images of, the functions of the space, such as the lounge, bar, eating area, the, digital simulating bays, and then the hitting bays that are oriented towards the driving range. And then the putting area and additional hitting space. These are the elevations of the proposed building. The top elevation is that south elevation with the hitting bays oriented to the driving range. So those are overhead doors that will open up for people that hit outdoors. And then the north elevation, so this will be facing the parking lot, will be the main entrance of the building. Side elevations on the bottom. And then the floor plan of the proposed performance center, are just to show you the layout of the space and the different uses within the building. So then these are the hitting bays, the putting green, the indoor and outdoor eating and lounge space. So in conclusion, there's really nothing that they haven't satisfied as a part of this preliminary middle where we left off during concept. So we are asking to make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-62, which is approving the preliminary site building plan for the performance center of Hazeltine. And then based on the conditions that are listed within that resolution. Happy to answer any other questions, otherwise we can invite Hazeltine out to help answer your earlier questions on function.
Questions for Liz?
Liz, maybe you should go back to that aerial.
I mean, it's not a public place, so it doesn't, I guess. It's really not my deal, but I just don't know how sitting the way that's sitting that. There isn't a possibility of hitting somebody. And then if you add nets, is that legal? I don't know. I don't know any of those things.
I think it'd probably be best to have representatives from Hazeltine come up and talk about that. I think in particular, you guys have the two tiers of the pads for the driving range.
Yes, Chris Zeman with Zeman Construction representing the applicant. So there's several aspects to answer the question. The orientation of the building in this plan view orients the shots down the quote unquote fairway of the driving range, if you will. Where the actual hitting mats are placed in the building, the angle of those shots really limit any kind of crossover of balls being hit over the turf outdoor tee area of the driving range. But by and large, most of the hitting that will be done outside in this facility would primarily be done when the weather outside doesn't allow the exterior turf hitting on the existing tee box to happen. So it'll be managed that way. But that building's been strategically oriented to ensure that if there were outdoor hitting and indoor hitting occurring at the same time, there's plenty of tee area in the outdoor hitting area that both can happen safely and concurrently.
Is that driving area used in the winter time then too? No.
Okay. Just looks like everybody must be really good golfers. I've just seen enough golfers do a lot of funny things. Even good golfers, but like I said, it's not a public thing, so there's really nothing. You know, it's their deal. It's their people.
Don't put Nate out there.
Well, that's what I mean, but if you're trying to learn, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. But it doesn't matter. All right, anyone else have any questions? Is that a no? I don't,
I share your thoughts, confusion in that, but.
it still doesn't look, it looks goofy to me, but. So what happens if, I'm just gonna ask this because I don't know. What happens if for some reason they're having problems? Do we allow like nets out there? I mean, again, it's on private property, really not that big a deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we get complaints or anything like that, we'll have to look.
But we wouldn't get any. It's a private property.
Yeah, I don't foresee that happening from an exterior.
I mean, I'm, like I said, I'm just asking if that's allowable.
Yeah.
I would think it would be.
Yeah, they can put nets in to help.
All right.
Protect.
Okay.
And that's no different than a recreational field.
And staff we're all good with this. Okay. All right, anyone else have any questions? Not an entertain a motion. Whatever it may be.
Motion to approve the.
2024-62.
Thank you. My thing is so
That's all right.
zoomed in, I can't even see it. 2024-62.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Hubbard,
Second.
second by Councilmember Grah. And it is adopt resolution 2024-62 approving preliminary site and building plan for Performance Center for Hazeltine National Golf Course. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. All right, thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, bills. Anyone got a question on a bill? Entertain a motion to pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Motion by Councilmember Grah,
Second.
second by Councilmember Hubbard to pay the bills. Discussion. Elise, we call roll?
Hatfield?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard?
Yes.
Councilmember McGraw?
Yes.
Mayor Cho?
Yes. All right, other business, Councilmember Grah.
Couple things. First I'd say was able to experience Costco and Chaska opening. So if you're watching right now and you weren't aware that Costco opened, Costco's open, but they're closed right now. So don't run out there right now because I think they close at 8 o'clock. So don't go now. It's too late for that. So yeah, it was exciting just to see, you learn people like seek these openings out and drive a long ways just to get there. That was interesting because I wouldn't do that, but hey, remote work has endless possibilities now. If you want to work remotely, I guess, and travel the country at Costco openings. I actually think the biggest takeaway, so I went back, I was there for the opening and I went back with my family 11:30, and you had to stock out a spot because it was full. Like all the parking, there's a lot of parking there, it was full. Which is good, but I will also say like getting into the property and getting out of the property was not difficult. I know there was a lot of questions about the roundabout and the access off 41 and the lanes and a lot of concerns with that. Now I fully recognize that I'm sure they have not sold every one of those villas and people aren't living in that space yet.
They've sold most of them.
Good, well,
Yeah.
even better. So to me, by observation, like,
They're
rental.
rental, I mean, I can't remember if they're rentals for
They're
sale.
rental.
yeah.
But they're almost all full.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, so you probably put the most people this weekend that may ever, holidays it gets dicey, it could be more people, but that may ever be there. And truthfully, 41, it worked, it flowed, people got in and out. So, cause I've been asked that question a few times, like, well, how was the traffic? And And the reason I know it was okay is because I had to think about it. Because trust me, if it wouldn't have been good, I would have remembered it. But I was like, no, actually, like any normal roundabout, yeah, you yielded a little bit. I mean, I'm a little conditioned with roundabouts right now because taking the roundabout across the 101 bridge right now at 4 or 5 o'clock when it's your only access, there's a line of cars. It was not even that bad. So that's exciting. I think that's I told people I think one of the number one questions I've been asked since being on this council is when is Costco opening? So now they'll ask me a different question. We'll see which rises to the top. Fire and ice. I'll just manage going first. See, I get to do all the fun things, right? Great event. Shout out to everyone who puts it on. I know our park staff works tons of hours and it was hot and it looked like it could rain any moment and it did rain, right? And so again, that doesn't happen and is not successful by accident. A lot of people, a lot of hard work goes into making that event as awesome as it is. The fireworks were great. Much to the advice of many council members, our family went down there. Sometimes I've watched it from my house. We were down there on Saturday. I got to sit in a dunk tank for the first experience, so it was super fun. I'm not gonna lie, my first reaction was, that's a lot closer than I envisioned people were throwing that ball at, which made it a lot easier. So yeah, I mean, good memories of my kids, dunking their dad. I do notice that they refilled it after you were in there, and they lifted the cooler up and there was ice cubes in the cooler, and I said, why, how is that, why are those ice cubes in the cooler? But it was cold and refreshing. So that was fun. I thought that was a great event. It's just fun to see kind of that community. And I'll just mention, because we were talking with the Chaska History Center about sometimes people don't take pictures of things like that really actually matter because you just assume it's going to happen every year, right? And so that's like that, like, right, that recollection of that many people in a space watching fireworks in that venue is just cool, right? And guess what? I didn't take any pictures myself personally, right? So it's just interesting. So take pictures of their community at these events. Lastly, I just want to, just thought of this a little bit. As my baseball season coaching and my son's playing is winding down, in particular with the city of Chaska, it has been a very challenging year to play baseball or softball for those that use it for softball for lots of reasons, with the rain and field maintenance and mowing the lawn when it's not super wet. So just a shout out to the public works and the crews that maintain the fields, because it's a challenge, right? There's puddles, they drag it, they try to dry it out, because there's a lot of teams trying to get games in at the end. So, I think it's probably the wettest we've ever had to mow fields, and you can see the wet grass, but in generally they've been really good fields. And so, and again, that doesn't happen by accident. Teams from other towns, coaches from Chaska and teams show up and expect a playable field. And that's the expectation, but a lot of work goes into that. So just a acknowledgement of anyone who had hand in that, because it's been a challenging year for outdoor sports in general. So, I believe that's all I have.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Taylor.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'll piggyback off of Councilmember Gra. Fire and ice was wonderful. I think the weather worked out really well. It was hot, but I mean the rain held off. I know fireworks were like pushed up just a little bit, but they were still, still dusk. It was still dark. The volunteered for the dunk tank as well. That was an experience. I was completely petrified of that, but I faced my fear and I somewhat survived.
Would you do it
So
again?
I think so. I do. But yeah, it was interesting. I know the mayor got hit by a ball.
You did.
by my son's friend.
I mean, like I was out
So
past.
I think I was safer sitting behind the
Yes.
cage than other bystanders. At certain times, it wasn't the only wild pitch I saw during my time at least, but anyways, it was for a good cause and I'll be excited to hear how much money was raised during that time period. Yeah, fireworks were amazing. That same friend that hit the mayor had never seen like those, the fireworks before, and to get kind of a front row seat and see his face as it just first started was, a wonder of a child, right? Just love witnessing that. But thank you to everybody that put that event on. It takes a lot of bodies and a lot of hard work. And everything was just wonderful down to the food vendors, like the lines weren't too long, to the music that was being played. I love the 90s band on Saturday. It was living in my prime. So yeah, great event. Speaking of events, there are some upcoming events. There is River City Days. That's July 26th through the 28th. The parade is back this year, which is exciting on that Sunday. And then Friends of the Library are holding their book sale. It coincides kind of the same time frame. It's a little different. I wanted to mention it because their hours are slightly different than in the past. And I think they're sort of breaking away from tying it directly because River City Days is at Lions Park, and the Friends of the Library book sale is going to be inside the library this year. And it's going to be the Thursday, the 25th from 3 to 8, and then Friday 10 to 5 and Saturday 10 to 2:30. There's no Sunday, there's no bag sale. They're going to have more book sale events throughout the year. And so I think that that's kind of primarily where that's going with them. National Night Out is Tuesday, August 1st. And there's also I gotta pull them up because I want to make sure I give the most accurate information. There are some open houses. One in particular I wanted to mention was 82nd Street is having Carver County is having a public open house. And that is on Thursday, July 25th, so before the book sale. You can go from 4 to 6 p.m. It's at Lions Park Pavilion in Victoria. So it's an open house style, talking about the design elements and the preliminary construction plans for the 3 areas of improvement project. And then there's a Highway 5 improvement project open house on Wednesday, August 21st, from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Minnesota Landscape Arboretum. They will share the planned improvements and preliminary construction staging. And I know like usually when they have an open house, the Arboretum, it doesn't state on here, but usually the general consensus is you do not need to pay to access that. You can tell the gatehouse that you are there for that and they will let you through. And that's it.
Just one correction, National Night Out is August 6th. The
Oh,
first
how
is,
come I had the first?
I don't know, the first is a Thursday, so.
Sorry, that was
No,
my
that's all right,
bad.
I just
I
didn't
wrote-
want it to go.
That's good, because I'll be here. When you said the first time, I'm like, oh, we'll be gone. But
So, yes, my bad.
All right, thanks, Michaela.
Yeah, some things, well, first of all the same things they just said about like Costco opening and, well, I guess I'll say one more thing about the Costco opening. It was kind of fun to see, we talk about like community looks different these days. And it was kind of fun. Everywhere I turned in Costco was a little bit annoying at times, but people were like chatting and I saw people hugging, like people were coming and seeing their friends. And just like how neat that kind of was. And it's like a different place. You don't think of it, but that sometimes gets a little bit lost these days. And it was very much a thing there. And even as, Councilmember Gra had the first hot dog, getting to know the 2 gentlemen that had the 2 first slices of pizza. And that was a whole thing, and getting to meet them and they're going to remember meeting us. And it just was, kind of a cool but weird dynamic that we live in these days where that's somewhere we're building community just differently. So I thought that was kind of fun. But some other events that are coming up, one I really am excited about is Celebrate Walk Bike Chaska this Sunday from 11 to 4. So if you want to see the tunnel, the paseos, there'll be some programming and things like that. Come on down to see that. It's 11 to 4 on Sunday. And I think you can drink a little bit in certain areas, right?
Yeah, part of.
I know we just approved that, but I couldn't.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Basically,
First up to 61, and then Walnut to Pine, that area.
So.
There's
the
an
rest
ounce
has to be
limit
open.
though.
What?
There's an ounce limit though.
Yes, but,
She's saying 61 ounces.
Yeah.
but still fun. So
And
come
that's
down for
this
that.
Sunday?
This Sunday, 11 to 4. Yes.
11 to 2.
Is there,
11 to 2. I think the website or the Facebook says 4, so we should
Does it
correct
say
that.
4?
But there's specials, so Size is gonna have something, Zenden is doing, demos, and then I think they were gonna do something on their lawn. The History Center is gonna have historic tours, Red Bench will have some stuff. And then you can learn about the paseos and the walkability and bikeability of Chaska. So there's lots going on, all over, like on both sides of 41, and then up and down the paseos from 5th to 2nd.
so it's 11
Kind
to 2 or
of,
11
to
to 4?
4th. What?
11 to 2?
It's 11 to 2.
Is there like, gonna be an official ribbon cutting of the tunnel? Or are they gonna do anything like that?
That is the plan, and
Okay,
I was gonna mention that tonight, that if we wanted to make sure we were gonna be able to get the tunnel open first, and I did confirm today that we will have the tunnel open. It will have to be closed later on when we do put those guardrails
I was just
in,
gonna say, is that?
but
when are the guardrails coming?
early August. But temporarily, they'll be able to move the fencing and such so that we can allow that to be open. So the ribbon cutting would be right at 11. So if you all are able to make it, we'd love to have you.
Where?
We'll be on the side
Okay.
of things.
It is 11 to 2. I just can't read military time. I forgot at my Facebook and military time. So I saw 1400 and thought 4. So yeah, that's very exciting. Thanks for having this. What else did I have? Picnic with Police is this Thursday at 5 at Veterans Park. That's always a great time, and I see they added a drone demo, so that's gonna be cool. And then Bark in the Park at the Farmers Market is July 24th. And that's at Fireman's Park. That's always a fun event for your pups and the farmer market, so you can do both. Coffee with a Cop is this Wednesday at 9 a.m. at McDonald's. There's a pop-up splash pad tomorrow at 11 at Sunset Park, which is always really fun with the fire department. They do that and it's great. And then probably the most exciting thing that's going to happen this month is Highway 41 opening back up. Hopefully still July 22nd at 5.
Yes.
Yes, amazing, nice. So, lots of like fun things to do in the next few
Gotta go
weeks.
get the old truck again?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so lots to do downtown, like, and then out and about, so. That's it.
Thank you. Elise?
I don't have anything else.
Hey. Got nothing for you. Christoph? Liz?
I just wanted to point out, I agree with Councilmember Hatfield about the community building at places like Costco. And I think back to, if any of you remember when Target opened up back in 2002, and the same thing happened. Everybody was like wandering the place and like saying hi to each other. And I mean, it was that same sort of feeling there. The second thing in Costco is and we talked about it today, is those roundabouts work really nice, especially when you're used to going to Eden Prairie and seeing the stuff that happens there. I too had plenty of people tell me that they thought we were nuts for putting that in there, that it would never work. And I thought it was so cool. I thought it was so cool driving out of that place when it was completely packed, and it was just like, just right on and out, so,
I can tell you, I worked next to that Costco in Indian Prairie on Friday. And it's still to this day not easy to take a left turn out of that property.
yeah.
Even with the stoplight, not down the road. You sit there and, yeah, it's, ugh. So hopefully we help Indian Prairie out too, because I think that was the hope of Costco, is to spread some of that
People.
people between buildings, so.
Yeah. The only other thing I had is just a reminder that at River City Days on Friday and Saturday, we're gonna have our booth. So Elise got out the sign up sheet today to get signed up for that. That's it.
All right, got a bunch of things. Tomorrow's the Fishing with Friends. They bring the veterans in from the veterans home out at, I think it's called Howard's Point.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
Yep.
It's really a cool event. They go out fishing, and then the flags of honor, hamburgers and brats and hot dogs or whatever, and feed all the veterans and get an opportunity to do that social network or that networking that they don't always get to do with their veterans friends. So, and I heard this year that they have so many that they're gonna go on 2 different flights. So I don't know if I know last year there was a bunch coming, but then one home got COVID or something. So, you just never know. But it's a fun event if you got time to go out there. It's like probably between 11 and 2. I think they start having some people talking around 11:30 or something, 11:30, 12. So good time. National Night Out, we talked. I just want to mention another business that's gonna be opening soon it's called Rogue 41. It's a speakeasy over by Red Bench Bakeries.
Rouge, I found out.
Is it Rouge?
Rouge, because it means something. Krista told me it means red in French
Yeah.
Oh,
or something.
Yep.
So I thought it was Rogue too.
I thought it was Rogue, but anyways, I got the tour of it on Sunday. It is really cool. And it's got red lighting in there. So that must be what it needs. So
His biggest challenge right now is getting the Department of Health to come and give him his final inspection. He's being told it's a month out, so he gave me the contact. I'm gonna try to call and see if we can help out with that.
But that, I think that's another thing. I mean, I think it's great with that opening and then the tunnel just opening and then hopefully by fall, the rest of the trail. I don't know, is the rest of the trail gonna make it this year? Anybody know?
Yeah,
It will?
that's the plan.
We haven't bid it yet. Correct?
I think it's out for bid right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, that'll be another nice, thing to add downtown to bring some people down. He told me that he's already got multiple people wanting private parties. So he's gonna have to close it down for private parties. So, that's cool that there's that kind of, people wanting it already. So, already been mentioned, but Highway 41 opening the 22nd. Which is perfect, because I don't even know, do they have the road done? Anybody know? I don't see anybody working there. They don't seem to be going in this end. They gotta re-shoulder the road.
Yeah, they have to re-shoulder the road. Most of the stuff that they were doing down on the other end got done.
So the railroad's done already?
They were supposed to do it this last weekend, and I think they
Last
did.
Friday, they were gonna go in and do it, so I believe.
They just did it in a day?
No, it was like 3 days.
Yeah, they started Friday because the one business, the asphalt plant, closed on Friday to allow it to
Oh,
happen.
okay. All right, I saw that in there. I didn't understand what okay, that makes more sense. But anyways, I'm happy that, we probably only ended up maybe a week lost in the big picture of things, a week longer but it's sure better than 3 to 5, whatever we were hearing early on. So anyways, happy to see that happening. I had River City Days that we have the booth. What are we just putting up about our building program, and what was the other thing?
Building program, the trail, the,
City Square Park.
Okay, so we got
kind of what we did for Taste of Chaska.
Okay. All right, and then, yep, the parade's back, as anybody knows, at 1 o'clock. We've seen the
On
time?
Facebook.
Okay, but the parade will still be in the same
Yep.
area. So basically leaving the courthouse parking lot, coming out, going around Auburn Manor,
1 o'clock.
and then loop back on
And
Second Street to the courthouse.
one thing to mention too is that busing will be provided from the parade route back to Lions Park. So I think that's really, since it's in the
Cool.
different area, that's a good thing to
All right.
mention.
We talked a lot about fire and ice, and I mean, there's not a lot to add. I mean, I still think the fireworks, there's nothing any better. I actually talked to the mall rats afterwards a little bit, and he said, he stood there and looked at me, he said, those fireworks were like, he just stood there for a minute. I said, the bomb? He goes, that's it, they were the bomb. So anyways, you know, it's fun talking to different people from, you know, that aren't always here every year and know about it. He was really stoked about it. He thought that they were awesome. But anyways, what I do want to talk about out of that is, you know, Saturday night, we were sitting there with pending weather, and I thought it was amazing how everybody staff wise came together to say, you know, how are we going to handle this? What are we going to do? And Matt was able to get some higher tech level than our apps for the phone to know that we could keep pushing it back. And the other thing is the mall rats to go up there and say, hey, we got to quit at 9. I know you can go to 9:15. Now you can go to 9:30. They were so accommodating. They were unbelievable how accommodating they were, and all they wanted to do was play. So I just want to give them kudos because that weather was so, and then, you know, it was supposed to hit us at 9 o'clock. I wanted to get it to us midnight. Somehow, all of a sudden, as fast as it was going, I didn't look after it didn't get here, but that was crazy. But I just want to talk about that. I mean, that, you know, Marshall was there, Matt was there, Aaron and myself and a number of other ones, Sid, we all sat and talked about how, you know, how are we going to handle this? You know, what are we going to do? You know, we had to look for, you know, the safety of the band and all of the people, and, you know, in case something did, I mean, look at St. Louis Park. They had winds tore down half the trees, and somebody out west had baseball size hail. So that, I mean, but anyways, I just want to talk about the cooperation there. So, athletic park, it doesn't look like the turf's going to make it. We got a final determination, but I think we're there.
I think it's done.
I don't think it's going to make it. I mean, not that the park would have been playable this year because they start playoffs, you know, right away, the end of July, first part. And, you know, pretty much done by first week of August. So no matter what, I don't think we'd have been ready because there has to be a lot of extra electrical work down there, is what I heard.
Yeah, because unlike some of the other floods that we've had where the water didn't hit the ceiling of the first floor, this one did. So it got into some of the electrical, like lights and all that kind of stuff. So definitely more, I don't want to call it damage. I mean, it's all repairable stuff.
Just more work.
It's just more work. We will submit this stuff through FEMA. The county did qualify with the amount of damage within the county to be able to make a declaration. So we will get money back to make some of these repairs and stuff. So.
Okay. I do have one thing here I missed. You know, we talking about the fireworks. I had a young man come up to me, just a young boy, and mom probably put him up to it, but he came up to me and he said, thank you for the fireworks. And that just kind of really makes the weekend when, you know, when somebody like that, you know, they recognize it. So I thought that was pretty cool. USAM is really coming up fast. It's August 12th through the 18th. So it's right around the corner. We don't really have anything to do with that, right?
Oh, we have quite a bit.
I mean,
saw the
Yeah.
city. but-
Banners,
Yeah.
yeah, it looked
No,
really nice,
But,
yeah.
I mean, at the town course we do, but
Yes.
yeah, not, I mean, keep in mind when it's at the town course, the attendance is pretty sparse. Now that could change if Charlie Woods ends up making the cut to actually come here. Then you
Oh.
could see more people, actually show
I
up
was tired of it.
and everybody else. So, I actually think that'd be pretty cool, if that happened, but, so that's sort of the contingency at this point is, does he make the cut or doesn't he? It sort of
So-
changes it.
So how open is that to the public?
Very open. So like at the town course, I mean, you'll just be able to go out there
You
and
just walk out and walk around.
And they don't have the ropes like you see it. I mean, they have some roping, but very few areas that are like completely roped off. I mean, I remember the last time it was here, you know, it was great going down on 18 Hillside and just watching these guys coming in, as they're playing. I mean, it was pretty cool.
Because Derek mentioned something about the clubhouse is closed to only,
Yeah, the clubhouse will be closed because we have to use that as a location as basically office area for the USGA.
okay, but he said even the pro shop wasn't open.
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would think that would be part of I mean, there's your sales for people that are there, but I guess we don't. So we don't do very good money wise on this.
No. Although one thing I will say is that Hazeltine, I mean, they don't make a lot of money on this event either, but the one thing they have said is that any proceeds that they make, they're gonna be putting all of it back into the Loop golf course. So
Oh, the town course or the?
Hazeltine is gonna be putting it into the Loop.
Okay.
The town course is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's too bad they can't have like racks out or something, some sort of opportunity for sales. Yeah, clubhouse
selling
sales.
stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see when it gets here, that's just when people go out to a town course, most of them are families. Most of it's families that are just coming out to watch their kids play. It's not like it gets a little bit more like the other tournaments when you get into Saturday, Sunday over at Hazeltine. There'll be more groups that are over there, but it's a different atmosphere experience to it.
All right, lastly, meetings, we have a fifth Monday this month. There is no meeting still, so luckily we get a week off. Our next meeting is August 5th and then August 19th, so still back on first and third. We have a short economic development meeting immediately following this one. And
One
that's.
more quick comment I wanted to make about Fire and Ice. So we had 16 people from San Francisco in the Bonspiel.
16?
16,
How many teams is that?
4.
Wow.
Yeah, and the comment that there's one guy that's come from the very beginning in 2016 forward, and now he started taking it upon himself that he tries to bring out a few groups of curlers every year to this event and he tries to get younger curlers because he's just like, if they go to this event and play here, they will be hooked with curling for life. So I thought that's a cool comment. He just loves our facility, so.
Wow, it's awesome. I mean, sometimes you take those things that we have right here so for granted and you don't realize it till you start really talking to people from other, out of the area to say, wow, this is a nice place. So.
It was great to
Yeah.
see how busy Crooked Plant was as well. They were so busy.
Yeah, they were telling me Friday was like, they couldn't keep up.
Yeah, they were very busy.
Yeah.
I didn't even make an attempt to
Oh,
go there.
I
didn't.
walked in there and it was like a zoo.
Yeah.
They were overwhelmed, but in a good way.
In a good way.
They're watching me.
That's what everybody's doing, right, Nate?
Yeah.
Yes,
Their little fingers.
Can I add one thing before we go?
Absolutely.
Candidate filings open
Oh.
July 30th.
Thanks.
So, there's two council members and the mayor up for the city specifically. Those open July 30th and go till the 13th. So if you want to have this really fun job, you can, put your name in the hat for that, and school district, school board as well, same filing period. So,
When's the primary for the
August
commissioners?
13th, August.
It's usually the same day that we close. So 13th,
13th,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So yeah, I'm going to the primary.
yeah.
But sorry, just
so-
wanted to add that.
So both commissioner races would have a
They do have a primary,
Yeah.
yeah.
in our area. Well, the two that are up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, because they each have three candidates at this point, unless somebody's dropped out that I don't know about, but,
Not as of
aware
yesterday.
so.
Secretary of State website.
All right, that's all I got. Last call. I think we all hit that. All right, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard,
Second.
second by Councilmember McGraw. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, post same sign. Thanks for joining us, and we're gonna go right into an EDA meeting. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order at 9:13. Elise, will you call roll?
Commissioner Hatfield,
Here.
Commissioner Hubbard,
Here.
Commissioner Juan, Commissioner McGraw,
Here.
President Mitchell.
Christoph, I forgot, I was gonna mention, you should have talked about your time in the dunk tank.
The thing I have to say about that is if all the kids that were dunking me go out and play ball for Chaska, the other towns around here better watch out. That's accurate.
They were very accurate too,
I was
huh?
gonna bring that up and it just dawned on me
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Sorry, wrong meeting, but. All right, next is item 3, adopting the agenda. Is there corrections or additions to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hubbard. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, post same sign. Motion carries, kind of weak. Next is item 4, approve previous meeting minutes, and that's EDA meeting minutes from 7/1 of 2024. Again, if there are no corrections or additions, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hubbard,
Second.
second by Commissioner McGraw. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Next, we're up to discussion item, approve second downtown business improvement program loan application from Chaska Commons.
Mr. President and Commissioners, I'm gonna turn this
That
over
sounds
to,
good.
Mr. President. I'm gonna turn this over to Elise.
President Commissioners, as you may recall, last summer, we made modifications to the business or the storefront improvement loan program, which we're now calling the downtown building improvement program. Also at about that time, you saw a loan application come through for 210 Chestnut Street. And if you've been down there, you saw the changes that occurred. They took the stucco off the front of the building, replaced all the windows, looks like a completely different building. It was something that that property owner has been contemplating, and something that with the changes that you all made with the storefront improvement program was to allow the rear entrances or the back sides of the buildings to have improvements made. So what this property owner now is proposing to do is take off essentially the last 400 square feet of their building, which essentially abuts the brand new Paseo. And what they plan to do is make that space into an outdoor patio for their tenants. It wouldn't be publicly accessible, but really the idea is to have that interaction with Paseo goers. So it is this sort of project is something that we have been talking about and really hoping that would happen with, the Paseo and the activation by property owners. So last summer, the EDA provided that property owner with a $35,000 loan at a 1-to-1 match. So the property owner at that time brought an additional 35,000. The loan program allows us to provide up to $60,000 total per property. So the property owner is requesting the remaining $25,000 to do this project. He is bringing $25,000 plus to the table because it will cost more than that. The same sort of terms apply as it would be for the first phase. So $12,500 of that would be in a low interest loan for a term of 10 years. And then the other half would be a deferred forgivable loan, where 10% of that loan is forgiven every year for up to 10 years. So if that property owner would go to sell the building before the end of the 10 years, whatever that difference is between now and when he sells, that portion would be forgiven, and then the remaining portion would become due. So
Remaining portion would be what?
would become due at the time
Oh.
of sale. So as we've looked at this project, it's consistent with all of our program guidelines. It's gone through the Heritage Preservation Commission as well. They are working with our building inspections department as they work through final plans. So staff is recommending the EDA approve the loan.
I don't have any questions. I just am really excited to see this come in front of us. And I think, I always say this, we're really lucky. We have some amazing business and property owners in downtown. And, there's to some extent a limit on what we can do to help the vibrancy. It has to kind of be, there has to be buy-in from those business owners and property owners. There has to be things people want to go to. So certainly I'm really proud of all the effort we've put in to make it really beautiful and walkable and to offer programs like these. And it's just really nice to see property and business owners recognize that investment and make their own investments. And I think this is really exciting to see. And I just am really grateful for property owners and business owners in downtown that are taking advantage of these programs. And thank you to staff for helping make these programs. But I'm just excited to see this. And the building does look beautiful, and this will even better. So
I have a couple questions. Do they have an end user? Go ahead.
Sorry, no, they do not. They are currently looking for a tenant. Right now, their tenant is MnDOT, and MnDOT will, once the 41 project is all complete, they will move out. So they are looking for a user.
I mean, how much longer does MnDOT stay around?
I don't know how the release goes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
bet you through the end of the year.
Okay. And, I suppose they got a lease, so they can't, if they get a user, they can't really get them out either. The other question I have is, has the step issue there been squared away?
We are working through that with them. They have essentially poured where that new ramp will go. So for the rest of the council members, there was a ramp in the rear that had to be taken off to get the new Paseo in. And it has been essentially replaced. Last time I was out there last week sometime, it wasn't completely done, but it won't be completely done until we know the final plans here so that it can match up.
sure.
So that will be essentially, because there has to be access out onto the Paseo as a secondary access from a fire perspective, that will be where that access point is.
Wasn't there other issues about things not fitting and stuff? Or is that all?
We are
squared?
working through that with her.
Yeah, it was some of the stuff that actually had to be welded out on site.
Right, it was a manufacturing thing.
Yep, and so, the work that they're gonna have to do is to actually go out and actually, buff it down, repowder it, repaint it, everything, do it on site.
They can do it all on site,
Yep.
okay. I know that gentleman was pretty upset about what was going on there, but I know you guys.
Yeah, my apologies. I was talking about the ramp and not the staircase.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
And then, lastly, as long as we're talking about business now, I heard that is a coffee shop going back into Dunn Brothers. They're currently working on it. You guys aware of that?
There's work being done in there. Every time we walk by, there are folks working in
I
there.
was told that.
We've heard rumors that it will be a coffee shop.
So I know the person that's leasing the upstairs and he says it's coffee shop.
That's what we've heard.
That's what we've heard, but we haven't heard anything for,
But they haven't got any building permits or anything like that would.
They have building.
Oh, yeah.
permits to do the work.
yep.
Oh,
And the owner of the property has been in contact with Julie and myself just about how to make, the parking, and that hasn't come before us. There's some steps, but, that need to happen before that would come before the council potentially, but about parking and how to make that more parkable so that it's maybe more attractive for businesses down there. So they're definitely motivated and working on things and excited to be a part of downtown. They've come to Downtown Business Alliance meetings, so.
okay. That's cool. I agree, whoever was stating it about, people taking what's being offered to them about fixing their buildings up front and back now. I mean, I think that that's important. Now that they see what's there, that, that there is that option about, doing both sides of the buildings but just fixing them up. And I think it's kind of like a lot of things. Once you start seeing some things happen, it just builds and keeps going. And that's what I hope, I saw the pizza and pasta building's been sold. I don't know what the intention is there. And, I know there's a number of vacant buildings around, so I'm excited to see that hopefully they become some sort of a small business, retail type business, just to make people come on down and walk around. It gives you more options than just staying in one space. So exciting. So, all right, did we already vote on that?
No,
Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm way off. Did we get a motion?
Nope.
All right, so I would need a motion and a second for the approval of the second downtown business improvement program loan application.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Draw,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hatfield. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Now, is there any other business? No, screwed everything up. Anybody else got anything?
I was just noticing that Andy Mooney put out that Rouge 41 is gonna have samples of their cocktails and food
That's right.
at the event
Sunday.
on Sunday.
Sunday, that's right.
Yep,
That's why he was telling me he's doing it on Sunday. I thought, man, that's odd.
yeah, no, it's during that event.
Yeah,
That would
he's
be
got an
exciting.
interesting, some of the food he told me, honestly, I don't even know what it is.
He had me taste test something last week that was like a lemon meringue sort of thing, and it was delicious.
Yeah, he's gonna have, all this stuff is homemade, desserts and.
It's like fancy. It's like cocktails, tuna tartare and a liviata, whatever that is.
Yeah, see, I don't know what some of that stuff is. And he was rattling off those things to me on Sunday when I was there and I'm going, oh, okay. But like I said, I have a feeling it's gonna be, everything he's touched has been pretty good, so. All right, anything else? Otherwise, we can adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield. Second by Commissioner Hubbard to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carry.